close. Oh, shit. So, I ain't gonna lie. The title of this video is not exactly accurate. I don't really mean it. I definitely think you should buy Shadow of the Erdtree if you did enjoy Elden Ring. But, here's a few gripes that I had with Shadow of the Erdtree. I'm right at the ending, so my opinion sort of matters. Here, I'll use your own magic against you. I was just playing. Now, before everyone flames me, I know I used summons. I just wanted to enjoy the game. Please leave me alone about it. I don't care if you've been playing Dark Souls since Dark Souls 1. I'm sorry to upset you. I just want to have fun in the game and complete it. I just wanted to see the story. Starting this off, fighting Mesmer, I experienced a lot of weird hitboxes with the bosses and the hippo. Actually, two of my favorite boss fights now that they're over. The hippo, when he does this dragging attack on the ground, and he can grab you when you're outside of his mouth if you roll the wrong way. And even sometimes if you roll the right way. If you just get your timing off by a hair, sometimes it'll just glitch and it'll happen. I can't do it. It's like I'm fighting Drake and I'm a miner trying to get out of the house. I can't. It's never gonna change. And I'm not the only one that said this. I've run into a lot of people that have said this is the worst boss fight I've ever had to deal with. I'm not doing it. And I actually stuck through and did it because I thought it was sick. I actually love the boss fight. I love that he turns like into a big porcupine hippo. I thought it was really cool. With Mesmer, it was more of the opposite of it was sometimes I would roll and things wouldn't hit me that should have hit me, or sometimes I would roll and things that shouldn't have hit me would hit me. Like whenever I was fighting Romina, sometimes I would use the Blasphemous Blade and I would swing and I would duck and my head would be out of the way of her blade and it would hit me anyway. Or sometimes it would work beautifully. Sometimes I would do that exact same move, and her blade would graze the top of my head, and it still wouldn't hurt me. Sometimes the hitboxes could be a little funny, and it's not always an issue for me. It more of benefited me half the time, especially with Romina, because it happened a lot. But I still think it's a bit of an issue. I think they should definitely work on them. You know, I'm not saying you have to go in and change them completely, you know. It works. I beat the game. That's fine. But if you wanted to make this DLC like pristine perfect, you could go back and tweak them a little bit, just making them a little bit, I don't know, more reasonable. Speaking of Romina or anybody that's not in the center of the map is extremely hard to read and navigate, in my experience. It took me so long to find Romina and how to get to her area, or how to get to any area, for that matter, that wasn't just the normal center area. Is that a bad thing? No. The map is beautiful, and it being massive just gives you more gameplay. That's not a complaint. But I wish the actual drawn map was a little easier to read on how to get places and where. I get it, they don't want to hand you like a pacifier and make you their big baby and show you exactly how to do things. It's a game of exploration. You're supposed to kind of run around and figure it out on your own, and that's what the beauty of the game is. I just wish it could have been a little bit better. I know a lot of people were complaining on Twitter and stuff like that about the map being really hard to read, and they're really frustrated because they can't find this area, especially day one. So that's just one thing that I would probably tweak, is I would probably make the written map a little bit more accurate, a little bit more description, or I would have just changed, because this map does have a lot of elevation differences. Sometimes you'll be underground, 3,000 feet below the sea, and then another time you would be 10 skyscrapers up. You know, they would be right next to each other on the map. Like the underground part and then the real high up part. It just, sometimes it doesn't exactly make sense. There's literally an area I refuse to go into to fight a Remembrance boss. It's the Putrescent Knight, I believe.
Please. I don't feel like fucking with it. I'm already like down on all my health.
Like what, bro? Like, what am I supposed to do? I literally refuse to go in his boss area, and this will segue into my next point, the mobs. The boss runs and the mobs to the boss rooms, I think, are horrendous in this DLC. I know a lot of the older Dark Souls players in the Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, whatever, they're going to give me some flack for this one, and I understand. I know. In your game, in the old Dark Souls games, it was extremely hard too. I literally could not play Dark Souls 3 because half the time I couldn't get to the boss room to even start fighting the boss, let alone want to run all that way. I understand. I know that not a lot of the times back in the day, you would have what you guys call bonfires, but what I call graces. You guys wouldn't have them right outside the boss door. You'd have to run through these NPCs just to get to the boss to then fight him. So I understand this is a little bit of a weird complaint, but I just feel like the boss runs to certain areas were too hard. You could tell they just kind of put too much energy into the mobs, and the fact that, you know, they could put so many in one area where you just literally could not run past them. You'd have to sit there for 20 minutes throwing a rock at them, doing a spell at them, or literally fighting them like they're a boss. And I think it was just very lazy. Or not even lazy, just overdoing it. I feel like if they would have taken half of these mobs, put a health bar on them, and put a name to them, that they could have been considered a boss in areas that they shouldn't have been. Like the big golden guy that you run into when you're running up to the dancing lion. Why not put a name on him, put a full health bar, and have him as a boss, you know? His moveset, he had a true moveset. It kind of reminded me of Radahn. Give him a name, make him a boss, and then make that area full of the little annoying, like, shadow people that hold the buckets over their head and throw them at you. If you're going to have NPCs and an abundance of them, make them still damage you. But I just don't think you should have a mob character that is literally so tanky that it feels harder than fighting the boss room you're about to walk into's boss. It kind of just blows my mind. And this will also segue into my next point. Why did they reuse so many bosses from the base game? I watched Noah J456 fight the Deathrite Bird for 45 minutes the other night. The Deathrite Bird's in the original game like 3 times. I had to fight the weird goofy bull thing that's at the top of the Volcano Manor. I had to fight him. He's reused in the base game like 3 times as well. And then, on top of that, you run into Tree Sentinel? Really? Do you know how many variants of Tree Sentinel there are? You have Draconic Tree Sentinel, you have, the one that defends the outside of Altus Plateau, and then you have the one, like I shouldn't have to list off how many Tree Sentinels there are. That shouldn't be a thing, so why are you reusing them in your brand new DLC? What's with the copy and pasting of bosses, and then you put all that energy into these mobs? Why not just take the ones that you copied out, replace them with the mobs that you made, add some health to the mobs, make the health bigger, add a name to that health bar, and bada bing, bada boom. There's a lot of invaders in this update as well. Like when you go into certain churches, you'll run into this invader that kind of looks like FaZe Jevs' character, I ain't gonna lie, just with a sillier haircut. He's extremely tanky, and I literally couldn't beat him half the time, so I have to give props to that. I thought it was kind of cool, but it's still really difficult. There's a lot of invaders you just have to kill in general. Like, you have to kill, spoiler alert for anybody that has not beat the game yet. Please, I've already spoiled a little bit. Here we go. Click off the video. Faster. Whenever you're going up to Radahn's boss room, you have to kill Knight Lita and Daryl, or Daryl Dan, or whatever his name is, right? And it's like an invasion thing. I thought that was really weird. Now, do I think it's cool? Absolutely. But it's another invader kind of thing. And what's with all these invaders? There's like 7 of them. Like in this DLC, I have to say, these bosses feel strong. Extremely strong. This is one of the most difficult games already. And I absolutely get shit on the entire time I played this DLC. I am a level 226. And I have beat the game 3 times, and I'm on New Game Plus 3, and it took me probably a week to beat the 5 to 10 bosses that I have beat. Bosses feel extremely tanky with the health bar. If you swing and hit somebody and it says you did 2,000 damage, it looks like 700 damage on the base. Their health bar barely moves, and I'm not sure if they just have a ton of health, or again, you're just not doing a lot of damage and they're lying. That kind of segues me into my next point of, I'm not a fan of the Erdtree blessings, or Erdtree, or whatever it's called. I don't like them. And I understand why they're there. It's for the OG players versus the new coming players where no one feels overpowered, but to me, I feel like the beauty of Elden Ring, the normal game, is if someone wants to get into Dark Souls games and they want to get into the story, but they're not good at them, you can run around for 17 hours and get a bunch of runes up and whatever. And you can go kill the dragon and whatever you want to do. And you can get a high level and you can kind of just run through the game that way. And that's what got me into the game series. That's what got me into checking out Dark Souls 3. And, like, I feel like they took that freedom away with the Erdtree blessings. I really do. Because instead of letting you come in with an OP character, or instead of letting you do this, they just made it difficult for everybody. And I absolutely understand that's the entire point of the game. Do not get me wrong. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying that, and people aren't going to listen to me. But I just think the beauty of Elden Ring and the freedom of it is the fact that you can just get a bunch of levels and run through the game and enjoy it. Because I really wanted to run through this DLC first, highly leveled, so I could just, show you guys everything. Get to showcase everything. But I couldn't do that because I don't have the skill that's required. I just simply couldn't. I know there's a lot of boss fights I'm missing. I know there's a lot of things that I need to go do, but I just don't have the skill for it. Like, I never beat one of the standing fire guys or whatever that's in the trailers. They have too much health for me, and I just can't. And their moveset's extremely easy, but I just never got to beat them. They take too long, and I'm a very impatient person. So that was one of my biggest gripes, is I feel like if you want to come in overpowered, you should have the freedom to do that. Just like in the base game. If you want to come in overpowered, if you want to go fight, let's say Margit at like level 200 when you do New Game Plus, and you hit him 3 times and he dies, I feel like you should have that freedom coming to this DLC if you want to. Now, do I think everyone should? Absolutely not. I think it's fun to have the difficulty. It keeps you interested. But if you want to run through it overpowered, I think that should be a freedom that they should give you if you're paying for their DLC. Now, that has its ups and its downs, because I do think that it was a good addition because it gave me a new respect. I can actually do it. Yeah, do I need summons on some, if not most of the bosses? Absolutely. But it made me realize maybe I'm not so bad at the game like I think I am. In all my experience, too, is the community really helps you find all these things, like the Erdtree blessing and even the map being hard to navigate. A lot of my YouTube chat and Twitch chat while I was streaming would show me where I needed to go or explain it. And as hard as that is to listen to them sometimes, it really helped. It's giving everyone a complete new way of interacting with each other through this game, and it's through helping each other out. And I'm always for that. If you can make people love one another and work together, that's a beautiful thing. Some parts of the community are going to be nice, and they're going to say, hey, look, as long as you're enjoying the game, do it however you need to do it. Here's some tips, here's some things you can cheese him with. Please have fun. But the players that aren't so respectful are horrendous. Me using summons and stuff like that, obviously I knew I was going to get some flack. I'm blurring this guy's name just so nobody goes and harasses him. He says, this DLC is a wake-up call for you casuals. Y'all never get good. Base game is an illusion from what From Software games are really about. Shadow is for blah, 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 right? All I replied to him with was, let me enjoy the game, bro. If you can't let other people enjoy the game how they enjoy it, I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know who hurt you. Whatever. If I want to use summons, I don't care. If you have a problem with me using summons, if you really want to help me out, teach me how to play the game. If you can just somehow, some way make me be better at the game, come teach me. Like, I'm not against that. Unless you're going to do that, don't hate on me for using summons. I don't know where the stigma came where you just have to be the best of the best in the world starting. I don't know if it's because people just expect that of you now in the gaming community, where everyone should just be goated at the game because everyone's a tryhard. But sometimes you just want to play the game and having some enjoyment. Some people just don't want to sweat, so don't hate. One thing I did want to bring up on a completely different side note and out of nowhere is the cutscenes in this game are beautiful, and there's not near enough of them. I wish there was a cutscene whenever you actually touched the finger to go into the Shadow of the Erdtree area. I can't remember what it's called. I really wish there was more cutscenes. They're beautifully done. A lot of the voice acting is so good in this if you do hear voices. That was one of my main gripes of the base game, is a lot of the voice acting to me sounded very laborious and just sounded like people that didn't have experience doing all the voices, especially like Pride of Rykard, like when he's doing the second phase, like we will rule the, or we'll take over the very gods. So I was like, dude, he doesn't even sound like he should be doing that. But in this DLC, they really did make up for it. I'm going to leave this out by playing the cutscenes that I did run into, and all in all, I do want to say, if you're looking for a game to buy or a DLC, I do recommend you buy it. But before you buy it, just keep all these things that I did say in consideration. Obviously, some things you're going to agree with, some things you're not. If you don't agree down below, leave a comment. It's okay to disagree. Please be respectful and be kind, because I obviously am going to respect your opinion. I know we might not all see eye to eye, but we're all humans and we all should love each other. We're all brothers and sisters, so please be respectful and kind to anybody in the comments that may have a different opinion than you. Don't argue, don't start any arguments, don't make it that kind of way.
Wilt thou be taken in the jaws of the abyssal serpent, shorn of light?
Champion of the festival, both your deeds will ever be praised in song. Now, the vow will be honored, and my lord brother's soul will return, so that he may be my consort.
Oh my god! It's my favorite boss. It's my favorite boss from the base game. Bro. Holy shit. Dude, it's an honor. I love you guys very much. If you like this video, please leave a like down below. And yeah, the video's over. So, goodbye.